There are moments in life when the thunder does not clap in the sky, but within the soul, a shift occurs, not outside us, but inside us, and it changes everything. Something massive has happened. You may not have seen it with your eyes or heard it with your ears, but if you listen with the soul, you will know it. Something has moved in the realm of the unseen, and those who lived in shadow are weeping behind closed doors. You see, when truth begins to rise like the morning sun, those who lived by lies cannot stand the light. When righteousness dares to march forward, injustice trembles behind its palaces. And when heaven's hand moves across the timeline of your life, not everyone rejoices, some weep, because they know that favor has shifted. Do not let their tears confuse you. These are not the tears of repentance, but the tears of regret. The ones who laughed when you were low, who mocked your dreams, who dismissed your calling, they are crying now, for they see what they can no longer stop. Something divine has moved in your favor. But let me warn you, elevation comes not to the arrogant, but to the humble. The great reversals of life, where the tail becomes the head and the last becomes the first, are not accidents, they are orchestrated. There is a divine rhythm to justice, and you, dear listener, are stepping into the beat. So stand strong, lift your chin. The enemy weeps, but you rejoice. You have endured in silence. Now you will rise in power. You were overlooked. Now you will be celebrated. You were tested in private. Now you will be honored in public. This is not the end. It is only the beginning of something massive. And what began in hidden tears will end in visible triumph. When change begins, it does not always announce itself. The most significant movements in life often take place quietly, beneath the surface, hidden from the noisy eyes of the world. There is a sacred power in what is unseen, in the slow, deliberate turning of events that unfold away from public view. Just as a tree's roots dig deep into the soil long before a single leaf appears, so too does transformation take hold in the invisible places of the soul. Many people miss the moment something divine begins because they are looking for fireworks when they should be listening for whispers. They seek external validation, not realizing that the most profound shifts are internal. These are the changes that happen when you least expect them, during moments of solitude, in seasons of loss, in long nights of wrestling with doubt. They are not dramatic in appearance, but they are earth-shaking in consequence. This unseen shift is often the most powerful because it aligns not only circumstances, but also character. Before a crown is placed on a head, the heart must first be refined to bear its weight. The world loves spectacle. It applauds what is loud, fast, and visible. But the divine realm operates differently. It cherishes patience. It exalts humility. And it works in silence, shaping lives like a sculptor chiseling away at stone, unnoticed until the masterpiece emerges. What others may interpret as stagnation in your life may actually be sacred preparation. What appears as delay is sometimes divine timing doing its deepest work. The invisible hand of providence never wastes a moment. Every setback, every heartbreak, every closed door, and every unanswered prayer is part of a deeper orchestration that only later makes sense when the full picture is revealed. You may find yourself in a place where nothing looks different, yet you feel something stirring within, a restlessness, a holy dissatisfaction, a sense that the current chapter is closing even though no page has turned. That is the signal, that is the beginning. Something has started, not in your bank account, not in your relationships, not even in your surroundings, but in your soul. The shift begins when your heart dares to believe again, when your faith outgrows your fear, and when you choose to rise, even when there is no applause. It is in this sacred space that heaven moves, not with noise, but with authority, not with chaos, but with clarity. Those around you may not notice. Some may even mock you for your stillness, for your faithfulness in obscurity, for holding on when it looks like nothing is happening. But do not be deceived. The most dangerous storm is the one building silently on the horizon. The most powerful victory is the one prepared in silence. And the greatest promotion is the one you didn't campaign for, but were chosen for. In time, what was hidden will be revealed. The shift that began in secret will demand public recognition. But you must not rush the moment. The tree that grows too fast often collapses under its own weight. But the one that develops deep, invisible roots will withstand any wind. This is the truth. You are in the middle of something massive, even if no one sees it yet. Even if you don't fully understand it yet. You may feel overlooked, but you are being fortified. You may feel forgotten, but you are being refined. The silence is not abandonment, it is strategy. The waiting is not punishment, it is preparation. The discomfort is not a sign of defeat, but of transformation. Something sacred is unfolding in the unseen. And when it comes to pass, the same voices that questioned your process will marvel at your outcome. Not because you explained yourself, but because your life began to speak for itself. So hold steady, stay faithful, keep tending to what no one else can see. Because when the invisible shift finally surfaces, it will not just change your life, it will shake the very ground around you. Their tears are not your concern. They are the evidence that destiny has shifted in your favor. When people who once laughed at your struggle begin to mourn behind closed doors, it is not your duty to peer through the keyhole of their grief or wonder why they are suddenly quiet. Something has happened, something spiritual, something divine, something irreversible. And their reaction is proof, not of your vengeance, but of your vindication. Life has a way of turning tables, but it does so without warning. Those who once held power, influence, or control over your circumstances may now find themselves perplexed, not because you retaliated, but because heaven responded. When favor moves, it does not ask permission. It does not seek applause. It does not require explanation. It simply shifts, and those who built their strength on your weakness can no longer understand how you are rising without their help. The weeping of your enemies, whether silent or spoken, is not a call for you to gloat. It is a signpost. It signals a divine transfer, not of material things first, but of position, of authority, of spiritual ground. You may have spent years walking through the valley, while others stood on mountaintops, looking down at you, whispering about your future as if it would never come. But time is a servant to destiny, and now the ones who mocked your patience are confused by your promotion. Not because you schemed or manipulated your way into the light, but because you simply remained faithful. While they ran ahead, you walked steadily. While they laughed, you endured. While they overlooked you, heaven remembered, and now their tears flow, not because you did them wrong, but because the story didn't end the way they predicted. The weeping behind closed doors is often the sound of miscalculated arrogance unraveling. It is the sound of pride confronting truth. It is the sound of people realizing that the one they dismissed, the one they underestimated, the one they tried to break, was the one chosen all along. And yet, your job is not to echo their sorrow, nor to mirror their bitterness. You were not lifted to join their games, but to outgrow them. There is no honor in returning to mock those who once wounded you. There is only purpose in rising above their reach and walking forward with grace. Do not concern yourself with the whispers of those who weep for the wrong reasons. Their sorrow is not born of repentance, but of regret. They cry not because they are broken, but because their plans failed. They did not expect you to last this long. They did not believe you would still be standing. They never thought heaven would move on your behalf. But now, faced with the undeniable shift in your life, they have no choice but to acknowledge what they cannot change. You have moved from survival to significance. From being the story others told to becoming the testimony that others cannot deny. Let their tears be what they are, a reflection of misplaced confidence, but let your response be different. Walk with quiet strength, move forward without needing to explain how you got here. There is a time for silence, and that time is now. Not because you are afraid to speak, but because your life is saying enough. Every open door, every new opportunity, every divine encounter speaks of a favor that no man can give and no enemy can block. You did not force this moment, you were prepared for it. And now, while others cry in confusion, you step into clarity. It's important to remember that you do not need the sorrow of others to validate your success. Their pain is not your platform. Your purpose stands on its own. Yes, something massive has happened. Yes, the heavens have shifted. Yes, those who stood against you are now retreating into the shadows of their own disappointment. But this is not about them. This is about you, stepping fully into the life you were always meant to live. Let them cry, let them whisper, let them wrestle. Let them rest. Your hands are too full of promise to carry their tears. Keep walking. The sound of their weeping is just confirmation. You are no longer where you used to be. Divine favor comes to those who endure the fire with faith, not to those who manipulate for position. In a world obsessed with shortcuts, with climbing ladders by stepping on others, and with gaining recognition through noise rather than substance, favor is often misunderstood. It is not a prize handed out to the loudest or the most influential. It is not granted because of appearance, wealth, or social status. True favor, the kind that changes destinies and marks a life with purpose, is entrusted to those who have remained steadfast in obscurity, who have held on to integrity when no one was watching, and who have trusted in something greater than themselves during seasons of silence and struggle. There is something sacred about the person who chooses righteousness when no one else does. While others maneuver and manipulate, seeking the quickest route to influence, the one who walks quietly, faithfully, and humbly finds themselves slowly being noticed by heaven. Divine favor is not given like a reward for performance. It is entrusted like a sacred responsibility. It is not fragile, nor is it based on popularity. It is deeply spiritual, often arriving after long seasons of pain, waiting, and endurance. And it does not announce itself with flashing lights. It settles gently like dew in the morning, quietly altering everything it touches. People often confuse favor with luck. They assume it just happens, that it's a matter of being in the right place at the right time. But favor is not random. It is drawn to purity. It is drawn to perseverance. It is drawn to the soul who chose character over compromise. While others built their kingdoms through noise and networking, the one walking with favor was building something different, something invisible but eternal. They were building patience, compassion, spiritual strength, and humility. These qualities are not loud. They are not glamorous, but they are the very things heaven looks for when deciding who to elevate. Favor has weight, and not everyone can carry it. That is why it is entrusted only to those who have been prepared in private. The fire you endured, the silence you lived through, the tears you cried behind closed doors were not wasted. They were proving grounds. They were shaping your heart so that when the moment of favor came, you would not misuse it. You would not take credit for what heaven orchestrated. You would not become prideful or petty. Instead, you would wear that favor with the humility of one who knows what it cost. Those who manipulate their way into the spotlight often find that it burns too hot for them to handle. They rise fast and fall even faster because their foundation was never solid. But you who chose faithfulness over fame now stand on something deeper, and because of that, your rise is different. It is not built on the approval of man, but on the promise of God. That kind of favor cannot be shaken by gossip, criticism, or circumstance. It is rooted in eternity, and it carries the authority of the one who gave it. There will be people who question your breakthrough, who wonder how you received what they spent years chasing. Let them wonder. You don't owe anyone an explanation for what favor has done in your life. You simply continue to walk in gratitude, knowing that what you carry was not earned through manipulation, but given through mercy. You don't have to prove yourself. Favor speaks for you. It opens doors no man can shut. It raises you up in rooms where your name was never mentioned, and it prepares places for you that your resume could never qualify for. So do not be discouraged if your journey has been long or your process painful. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. forgotten. You are simply being shaped for something that others could not carry. Favor is not given to those who scream the loudest. It is entrusted to those who endure the longest. And now, after all you've been through, it's your time, not because you demanded it, but because heaven saw fit to entrust it. Every silent night, every tear you cried, every unseen sacrifice, it was not wasted. It prepared you for what is unfolding now. Pain, though difficult to endure, is one of the most effective and sacred teachers. It is through hardship that the deepest truths are written into the soul, truths that cannot be taught through ease or pleasure. When you walked through seasons where nothing made sense, when prayers seemed to vanish into the silence, and when no one applauded your endurance, something eternal was taking root. You may have felt abandoned, but in reality, you were being equipped. What you thought was a delay was actually a divine design shaping your capacity to carry something greater than you ever imagined. Preparation rarely looks like promotion. It often feels like being forgotten, left out, or even overlooked. But the greatest stories are not written in moments of recognition. They are formed in shadows, where character is carved out layer by layer. In that place, your heart was being refined. You were being taught patience, humility, and how to trust without evidence. You were learning how to keep walking when your feet were tired and your soul was weary. And though no one else saw the weight you carried, heaven did. The invisible battles you fought built visible strength, and now that the moment has come, you are not entering it with pride, but with perspective. Pain teaches us what comfort never could. It strips away illusions, revealing what truly matters. It sharpens the voice of God, because in suffering, distractions fall away and clarity often takes its place. You may not have realized it at the time, but in those nights of wrestling with disappointment, you were being drawn closer to something sacred. You learned how to hear through silence, how to hope through heartbreak, and how to stand when everything in you wanted to fall. These are not just survival skills, they are the traits of someone who will not crumble when the weight of blessing arrives. The world often sees the outcome, but rarely understands the cost. They may see the open doors now, the favor, the influence, or the opportunities. But they did not witness the sacrifices that paved the way. They were not there when you chose obedience over convenience, when you let go of things and people that no longer aligned with the calling over your life. They didn't see the countless times you chose integrity when compromise would have been easier. And they certainly didn't hear the quiet prayers whispered through tears late at night. But heaven did, and every single moment mattered. Now, as things begin to unfold and doors begin to open, you must remember where you came from, not to dwell in the pain, but to walk in humility. You are not where you are today simply because you worked hard or made smart choices. You are here because you allowed the refining to happen. You didn't resist the shaping. You yielded to the process even when it was excruciating, and because of that, what is being built in your life is sustainable. It is not a flash in the pan. It is a legacy in the making. There is strength in those who have suffered well. They walk differently. They speak with more compassion. They lead without arrogance, because they know what it took to get here. And more importantly, they know who carried them through it. Your pain was preparation. It was not punishment. It was a divine investment in your soul, one that is now bearing fruit. And though others may only now be paying attention, you and heaven both know this story started long before this chapter. So take a breath and look around. You are standing in the beginning of what you were being prepared for all along. The trials did not break you. They built you. The tears did not drown you. They watered the seed. And now that the harvest is beginning, let every sunrise remind you that nothing was wasted. Not a moment, not a breath, not a prayer. Everything served a purpose, and that purpose is now becoming visible. Those who walked with integrity in low places are now being lifted to high places. The elevation you are experiencing, or about to experience, is not random, nor is it a result of public applause or worldly recognition. It is the quiet reward for those who chose to remain faithful when no one else was watching. It is the fruit of consistency when everything in life felt uncertain. In the moments where compromise would have made things easier, you chose conviction instead. When bitterness could have taken root, you held on to forgiveness. When shortcuts presented themselves, you rejected them for the longer, more honest path. These decisions did not make headlines. No one praised you. In fact, you may have felt forgotten, even ridiculed, for choosing the narrow way. But now, the elevation is happening, and it's not by accident, it's by divine appointment. There is something powerful about living rightly in low places. It reveals a person's true character. Anyone can pretend to be kind when they're surrounded by admiration. But what about when they are overlooked? What about when they are overlooked? Anyone can declare their faith when things are going well. But what about when nothing seems to move? The valley is the test. The hidden season is the preparation. Those who walk with integrity when the lights are off are the only ones trustworthy enough to carry the weight when the spotlight comes on. And so, if you've endured that kind of low season, if you've remained steadfast when your name was never mentioned, if you've sown seeds of truth when lies would have been more convenient, your time is arriving, not because you demanded it, but because you were prepared for it. There are moments in life when heaven does what man cannot, when doors open that you did not knock on, when your name is spoken in rooms you've never entered, when opportunities come not because you chased them, but because you were chosen for them. This is the reward for integrity in hidden places. It is not a promotion you earned through manipulation or self-promotion. It is elevation granted by the one who saw your private decisions, your internal battles, and your surrendered heart. And because you did not seek to build your own platform, heaven is building one that will not crumble under pressure. You do not need to explain yourself to those who questioned your slow pace. You do not need to prove anything to those who mocked your principles. Let your life speak. Let the fruit of your integrity answer every critic. Those who rise by dishonest means often live in fear of being exposed. But those who rise by truth have nothing to hide. There is peace in knowing that your elevation is rooted in righteousness. There is strength in knowing that what you carry cannot be taken by the opinions of men. What was given by heaven cannot be undone by human hands. And though the elevation is beginning, do not forget the valley. Do not forget the quiet days of perseverance. The people who walk with grace at the top are the ones who remember what it felt like to be at the bottom. So carry this favor with humility. Use your influence to lift others, not to impress them. Speak with compassion, not pride. Walk with boldness, but never arrogance. You were not raised to look down on others. You were raised to reach them. Elevation is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of a new responsibility. The position is not for show, it is for service. The platform is not for ego, it is for impact. You were trusted with more because you were faithful with little. And the same heart that walked with integrity in low places must continue to lead you in high places. The stage does not change who you are, it only reveals it. So walk in this new season with reverence. Know that you are where you are, not because of luck or timing, but because heaven watched you in the dark and said, "And now is the time." Let that truth ground you. Let it keep you. Because the same integrity that lifted you will sustain you, and the same humility that brought you here will carry you forward. You have not risen by chance. You have been lifted with purpose. You are not being elevated to spite others, but to fulfill the divine assignment that has been on your life since the beginning. This moment, this season of recognition, this new level of favor is not about revenge. It is not about proving anyone wrong or finally silencing your critics. It is not about satisfying the part of you that was wounded when you were overlooked or misunderstood. Elevation that is rooted in bitterness becomes toxic. But when it flows from purpose, it becomes healing not just for you, but for everyone connected to your calling. You are rising now, not to celebrate the downfall of others, but because the time has come for you to walk in what was always meant for you. There is a deep difference between revenge and redemption. Revenge seeks to punish others for the pain they caused. Redemption seeks to restore what was lost through a higher plan. You have not come this far simply because you endured. You have come this far because your life has a purpose beyond your personal story. You are part of something bigger, something sacred. And when heaven lifts you, it is never for a show. It is always for a mission. You carry something that this world needs, and the trials you faced were never meant to crush you. They were meant to prepare you to carry the weight of that mission with wisdom, strength, and compassion. If this elevation were merely about you, it would have no lasting impact. But because it is about fulfilling something eternal, it comes with a peace that no applause can match and a clarity that no human affirmation can rival. You are stepping into rooms not to impress them, but to transform them. You are receiving favor not to flaunt it, but to multiply it. Every open door you are now walking through is connected to something you were born to carry. And though others may look on and assume this is a reward for your pain, you know the truth. This is a continuation of your purpose. The pain was never the point. The promise was. And yes, others will notice. Some may even wonder why it had to be you. They will remember the times you struggled, the moments you fell, the seasons where you seemed invisible. But they will miss the truth that while they were watching for your failure, heaven was writing your redemption. The calling on your life has not been delayed. It has been developing, slowly, silently, deep. And now that it is beginning to bloom, it is not because anyone else fell behind. It is because you stayed the course. You didn't quit when it was hard. You didn't bend when it was tempting. You didn't give up when nothing made sense. And that kind of faithfulness does not go unnoticed in the kingdom that truly matters. Let the evidence of your elevation be peace, not pride. Let it reflect joy, not jealousy. There is no need to prove anyone wrong when you are walking in what is right. There is no room for comparison when you are rooted in calling. And there is no strength in resentment when your heart is full of gratitude. The greatest triumph is not standing above those who doubted you. It is being too focused on your purpose to notice whether they're watching or not. This is your time, but it is not just about you. It is about everyone who will be changed because you said yes to the process. It is about the people who will hear your story and find courage for their own. It is about the generations that will be influenced by the seeds you plant in this season. So rise, not for revenge, but for redemption. Step forward, not to settle scores, but to fulfill the sacred score that was written over your life long before the pain began. You are not a product of what happened to you. You are a testimony of what was always destined for you. And now that the moment has come, walk in it with a steady heart. Let your life reflect the mercy that sustained you and the grace that carried you. You were never forgotten. You were being prepared. And now, the elevation is not just a breakthrough. It is a commission. It is your moment to step fully into your purpose, not for the downfall of others, but for the rise of something holy.